Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. How we doing today? It is a gloomy San Diego. Another sunshine tax refund I'm going to go for. Bit of a drizzle, gloomy. We want the sunshine. Where's the sunshine? It's not cold, but it's definitely gloomy. This will be episode 931. Which is cool. Not many until 1,000. And I hope you all had a good weekend. I have to say I'm very tired today. Very tired. I don't know if it's the weather, the sleep. But weirdly, I thought I had the weekend off, but I didn't. Oh, and after this stream, I'm going to direct you to a video. But it's going to be one which is going to be released on Saturday. And it's a very cool one. And I've set it up as a premiere. A premiere. So I'll be in the chat as well, I think. And that means you can be chatting while the video is playing. I think you'll like it. It's going to be a really cool journey. But that'll be at Saturday Pacific, 3 p.m. 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. East Coast, 11 p.m. in the United Kingdom on this Saturday. Hey Cheryl, great to have you here. Oh, there we go. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. What else have I got to say? No, he's there's no sunshine. It is gloomy day. No sunshine whatsoever. In fact, I've got to put more light on. Just to light up my room. But it, oh goodness. Didn't do a thing. I can relax. But he is snoozing. He is snoozing. Where is everybody? Where is everybody? We're slow chatters. I don't know if I could put subscriber mode on. But Michelle is here. I hope you had a good weekend, Michelle. Hopefully it's brighter where you are. And that I know you said you had a bit of a warmth. Hopefully that warmth has continued. But great to have you on the stream. I don't know what else I've got to say, really. Before we get into the live episode recording. Hey, Mina, great to have you here as well. Welcome. Is it gloomy where you are? Up there? Up there? Is subscriber mode new? Well, I just thought I put it as subscriber mode. I thought it might, people go, oh, I want to chat, but I'm not a subscriber. I've got to subscribe to chat, and that means we get a subscriber. And that means we're all in it together. But I can always take it off as well. I did it on Friday and today. But it's always been there, I just haven't activated it. So there's a setting which says like can they start chatting after? So like a minute, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. And the reason why that was introduced, I think, is to like spam. Like spammers don't subscribe, so it means the spammer or the bot has to subscribe, which it won't do, and then have to wait, which it won't do. So I think that's what it's mainly there for. 55, that's not so bad, is it? Is the music really loud for you? It is for me. Yeah, it's been a bit cooler, but it's just gloomy today. I went for a nice small hike yesterday. That was nice. You know, just like shorts, light sweater. I don't know what the weather is right now. Hey. It is 61. Oh, it says it's going to rain for a little bit today. Hey Lois, great to have you on the stream. I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little bit tired, but doing pretty good. And thank you, Caroline, for asking as well even. Great to have you here. Hey Liz, it has been a long time. How you doing? All the way in New Zealand. All the way in New Zealand. Are you kapowing it? Great to have you here. Way too long. There we go. You are kapow. Therefore you are. 30 degrees. Whew. That's like 90 something. 90 in Fahrenheit-ish. All the way in Sydney. No, Australia. Not sure where you are in Australia. I know we have some people in Australia, New Zealand. We have people from England, America, Europe. But it's a bit quiet today. Bit quiet. So if you're new here, I go live Mondays and Fridays. 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. East Coast, 11 p.m. United Kingdom. And you know what? Let me do a quick refresh. 4 degrees for Caroline. Ugh. But it is 11 o'clock for you. 11:08 p.m. for you. We have 27,957 subscribers. We have 43 subscribers from 28,000. And we will have that by next time I'm live. We're gaining, I was saying like a couple of weeks ago, we're gaining 1,000 subscribers. We have now gained the last month 1,300 subscribers. I said we hit 100,000 views, now we're at 110,000 views in a month. I did say we were doing 100,000 watch hours, we're now at 119. That's crazy. 119,000 hours. Hey Med, all the way in London, Richmond. 5 degrees for you as well. Hey Nest on Facebook, great to have you back. Thank you. Thank you. Tell you what, this is what we'll do. Actually, what am I thinking? Stop it. We're not even there yet. Why are we even celebrating? We can celebrate that journey, but we're not at 28,000 subs yet. Oh, good. I gotta think of a hypnosis session to record tomorrow for everyone. That's what I gotta do. But it's pretty crazy. We are together, because we're in it together. We had 51% more views than usual. So the usual is usually between 63 and 80,000, but we're at 110. And 43 subscribers away. Phew. Phew. When should we get started? I feel like we should start sooner. Finish maybe a bit sooner. Would that be okay? Would that be okay? Thank you. I'm so pleased you enjoyed that one. Was that the self-love one? Well, I did release one today. Yesterday. It was all perfect. Perfect. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm a bit tired today. We'll turn on the energy when we're doing the live. But before we turn up that energy... Oh, I'll tell you what, I haven't... Should we do a Q&A on Friday? Should we do a Q&A on Friday? We haven't done one for a few months. What do you reckon? Q&A this Friday. Let me know in the chat. Say yes or no. If you say no, that's fine. Or sure. We can have a sure as well. Yes!
Let's do a Q&A. Lois says, yes! Let's do a Q&A.
So let's go ahead and do a Q&A this Friday. Why not? Sounds good. I like my voice.
We could go scary.
Nice. Yes. My tattoo says, enlighten the illusionary darkness. There is only love. I'm the everlasting moment of oneness. I am love. Yes, as well for Friday. Okay, Q&A. This Friday. Let's do that. And remember, if you just didn't get the first part, this Saturday, I'm doing a video at the same time, like 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. East Coast, 11 p.m. United Kingdom. But it's going to be a premiere, and I'm going to be there in the chat. So if you want to join me in the chat, we're doing something special. To find that video, stay to the end of this, because I'm planning, if it works, to redirect to that video. So that means you can like get notified and things like that. So watch out at the end. We've got a great video coming out this Saturday. There's a but one of the reasons I was thinking about the Q&A, because Jen asked me a question, which I'll answer now, is that at the end of today's Monday, end of Friday's episode, yes, I said I don't speak well after the episode recording, because when I'm doing the podcast, I'm letting my unconscious mind do the work, which she resonated with, but she asked why. Why does that happen? And to put it simply, you know, if we go for the example of like being super self-conscious, you kind of freeze, you get in your own way. Or if I asked you to really think about walking, or for example, if you've ever been drunk before and you're pretending, you're trying to figure out like, how can I make sure I'm not drunk in front of other people because I think I'm walking funny, you try to walk and it's just so incongruent. You're too self-conscious because the unconscious mind does most of the things beneath the surface. That's why we do habits, walking, talking, driving. When we hand over to the unconscious mind, it's easier. If the unconscious mind's clean and clear, if it hasn't got like the limiting beliefs, of course, because that's when problems really happen. But if you're good at something, your unconscious mind will take control over it, so you have to do less. So the answer to that question is, why is it harder to do things consciously compared to the unconscious? Is because we're just too conscious. And the things that we're probably wanting to do well are unconscious. Like me, personally, speaking is something that I do more unconsciously, tuning into something. If I'm doing hypnosis, I'm teaching, doing a demonstration, walking, driving, it's because my unconscious mind has taken control. So Jen, that's the answer. There's a pre-Q&A answered. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's easy when you know. Not so easy. You don't know what you don't know. And then when you do know, you're not always sure of it. Oh. That reminds me. I may or may not include that little thought in my head in today's episode. But let's go ahead. We'll start 3 minutes early. We usually start 20 past the hour. I'm going to move the chat over here. Get back to here. We'll abruptly... Have I got an abrupt pause? Lower? Stop sound. Ready? Just by a button. Just like that. Sound like Tommy Cooper. Just like that. Anyway. Let's have fun. What music should we have today? Hey, well, let's be the same old music we always do for Mondays. I had some other music, but I lost it. I accidentally deleted it on my button of buttons. Oops, sorry about it, Mike. And I can't find it. So we'll just stick with what we could know. So episode 931. 931. 931. 3, 2, 1. 931. 3, 2, 1. 931. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 931. We're almost at 1,000. Let's go ahead and see if we can get there in super quick time. But on this episode, we're talking about identity confirmation. Now, what do I mean by identity confirmation? Because it's going to be really, really important in terms of letting go of limiting belief systems and changing the story that you may be repeating. it is a natural human behavior. We hear like the term confirmation bias, where you become biased based on your beliefs. If you are really opinionated about this one thing, if you were presented new evidence, the chances are if you are so certain on that belief, you will dismiss that evidence. No matter how good the evidence, you could get the statistical evidence, people could like paint it out to you, you will still try to have that confirmation bias because it's just really kind of holds true for you. Now, in the same way of having beliefs about certain subjects, it could be politics, it could be about human rights, it could be like fill in the blank, we absolutely have identity confirmation bias. And if we take a step backward, we've got to get to when this occurred. How did we come to a place of confirmation bias about our identity in the limiting way? For example, if you don't believe you're good enough and worthy or deserving, that has become your story. Now, that could have happened in one big event or a series of events over time, but if we take the brain itself, it is taking in billions, and I mean billions of bits of information any given moment. And your unconscious mind, your best friend, tries to break that down into smaller pieces so you can digest it. And therefore, it's going to be deleting aspects of reality because you can't take it all in. How does it begin to delete aspects? Well, it will do so based on your own personal experience. In other words, your subjective viewpoint, your subjective view of yourself and the external world around you. So if you've been through lots of traumas, significant emotional events, or where people have said you're not good enough, you're not worthy, or maybe your parents had very high standards for you and you never felt like you could ever live up to them, you're going to assume that to be true. We are great assumers. We assume what we think is true based on the evidence that you've gathered up. And I'm not saying just you consciously, I'm really talking about your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is considering the external world of what's presently happening, but it's trying to compare it based on every event that you've gone through or events which are similar. In other words, if you're going into a situation and you've had many bad previous situations, of course, it's going to come up with that confirmation that something is not going to work out again. And that becomes the story that we tell ourselves. Imagine if, to make it just like paint it easier, we have all these external thoughts coming toward us, right? And that's other people's opinions. And growing up, we didn't have any other evidence to compare, so we just assumed it to be true. Or we came to that conclusion because we admired that person, or we at least respected them in some way, or they were some form of, we put them on a pedestal, and we go, yeah, this must be true. If I don't succeed at this, I'm not good enough. If this doesn't happen, that means that. And what happens is it becomes a cycle. It becomes like a thought becomes a belief system. A belief system becomes our identity. And you know, I talk about identity a lot, and even the values, what we hold true to ourselves, or as to why we do or do not do things, which we talked about in the last episode. But our identity, or for some on the podcast, but it may be the previous episode because we've got a special episode coming out soon. But anyway, we start to confirm that as an identity that, oh my goodness, I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. And then that story echoes in your reality. And therefore, what shows up in your reality? The consistent thoughts and belief and identity that you have about yourself. That then becomes what your standard way of being. If, for example, you grew up in poverty and all you saw was poverty, and you were only spoken to in poverty ways, that money doesn't grow on trees, or money's the root of all evil, that's going to be your standard relationship to money. And no matter if I said, yeah, but you can earn this $10,000 a month, $50,000 a month, whatever it is, your confirmation of that identity around money and yourself around money will go, no. In fact, I wasn't going to talk about this, but there's companies who will pay me ever so rarely. I got one gig coming up soon, but they'll pay me to create hypnosis sessions for their customers or for their employees. And the reason being is, especially on their customers, the people I've worked with, they have this perfect system. Like, they know if anyone follows step A to Z or Z, that they'll get the win. They'll get what they're selling in that product. But they've noticed, no matter how good that product is, no matter how good that strategy is, the system is, if the person who enters, in other words, the customer enters that ecosystem with a lot of limiting beliefs, with a lot of self-doubt, they will sabotage the perfect system. And even with employees, if they're not buying into your mission because they have limiting beliefs, then they're not going to serve the customers either. So I do hypnosis sessions, custom ones, to be able to undo that. And therefore, the person who enters the ecosystem gets the mental and psychological unconscious support in a powerful way. So if we think about it, your unconscious mind is having this standard, and that standard is based on the confirmation bias of your stories, your identities, and your past experience. So the question really is, I'm sure you can think of many examples in your life where you've repeated the same story, or you have the same expectation. You have the expectation that people will leave you, or you'll even sabotage a relationship so they just leave quicker because you don't want to get hurt, or the same old situations with work, that you're a people pleaser, the imposter syndrome. I'm sure you've got many examples as to why that is true of all I've said so far. So the next question is, what do we do about it? How can I get you out of the unconscious identity confirmation biases? Is it biases or biases? Who knows? But how can we get ourselves out of that and blast through these unconscious blocks and these stories? Now, number one, be patient with me. And more importantly, be patient on yourself as you do this. Because how long have you been this way? How long have you had maybe a belief of not being good enough or feeling like an imposter? How long have you been playing small? How long have you been a people pleaser? How long have you had that bad relationship to money or to people, or even with yourself on the inside? Most of us will have it for years, and even more of us, I would say, would have it for decades, because that's just the way it is. So we are undoing potentially many years or decades of work, or subconscious programming. So we've been programmed from the external world. We've been hypnotized from the external events and what people have said for so long that your unconscious mind has assumed it to be true as your identity. And then the events which follow only confirm that. And just to give you that bit of extra science before we get to the how, we can think of, and I've said this before, but just to reaffirm, we have that reticular activating system in our brain. And what that really means is you'll look and seek out for what is familiar, similar, and which conforms to that belief that you have about yourself. The most quickest and simple example of the reticular activating system is when you decide to buy a new car, you start to see that car everywhere. If you learn a new word, it just pops up out of the blue. Now, those cars and that word has always been there, but because it wasn't important to you, it wasn't new in your reality, it wasn't on your heart to buy that car. Now, when it was, it's there. It's like wherever your attention goes, the energy flows and it lights up what we see in reality. I really think that we are living in a holographic experience in many ways, whether it be metaphorically or even holographically. We are so in tune to what we are and what we think we are that we project it into our reality. Our observations become our projections. We are projecting all the time, and therefore we look for reaffirming of that, right? So it's this weird self-reaffirming confirmation bias, whether it be biologically, wherever we say spiritually, wherever we just say it for what it is. That is just what happens. So getting back to the how. Be gentle on the process because it can take time undoing. Unless you get the shortcut, which would be like, say, working with me personally or working with a competent or more than competent, like a specialist of undoing things. You can listen to my app, for example, if you really find a title that resonates. I mean, hypnosis is great at undoing these confirmation biases. So, another step we can add to this at a conscious level is noticing the stories that you tell yourself. Number one, that means we're becoming conscious of the unconscious process, rather than just happening automatically and unconsciously. We're bringing it to light. You can write it down. You can just become, oh, I just had this thought immediately that money's going to be really hard to get this month, or I just had a thought that I'm really jealous of what my partner's doing or what I think they're doing. So you become conscious of these little signals, these little triggers ultimately, and that means we can start to do something about it. But the other thing we can do, and I'm not always a big fan of affirmations because my metaphor is always an affirmation on, say, a broken mind. And by the way, you're not broken at all, but just metaphorically, like a conflicted mind, to be clear in my words, is like having a wall, you seeing mold, and then you just painting over it, expecting the mold to disappear. That is what an affirmation can be like. If you don't undo and let go of the mold first before you add the affirmation, you're going to have a lot of issues there. So affirmations work when you start to have that clean wall, having resolved the conflict. But how can we use this? By using new confirmations. Number one, come up with an identity of who you want to be in this world. If you have an identity right now which goes, I am broke, money never goes to me, I always feel destined to be poor, or whatever it is, write a new commanding, powerful identity statement. Because that is going to be something that you want to live up to. This is the new standard. I said this earlier. These old ways, or these soon-to-be old ways, are your present standard that you live up to. Where it be that limiting belief around money, relationships, career, and what we do in one thing, we tend to do in many things because it is an identity level. That's been your present standard. Now it's time to set up a new standard. Who do you want to become with the highest standards that allows you to go, yeah, this is who I am. Do you know what? I am worthy of good and great relationships. I am ready to receive that abundance because it's my birthright. That I know, even if you don't know yet, but this is like how you'd write it. I know I am worthy. I know that I'm ready to receive fill in the blank. And after a while, reading that, your brain will start to look for new confirmations, a bit like that reticular activating system of seeing that car everywhere or learning that new word. You're setting a signal to focus on something new. And it does take time, and that's why I said be gentle in the process. You've had decades of unconscious programming from the external world and the events you've gone through, which then you've repeated to yourself to become your present standard. We need to elevate the standard and go, look, this is who I'm going to be. I'm going to live up to this. And the reason why I like that is you've got to give up who you are in order to become who you want to be. So putting like a stake in the ground, a line in the sand, you're saying, this is what I'm going to live up to. I'm going to be willing to do whatever it takes. That's the doing part. But before we get to that doing part, you need to declare it. You need to have that identity of truth. But this is what will start to happen. As your unconscious mind, as you start to live by that, like I say, you can shortcut it by working with someone like myself and just undo all the unconscious stuff. You can do it by yourself. You can listen to hypnosis, whatever suits you, whatever will make you feel the best. Once you start to come up with that identity of, and it could be a paragraph, by the way. Sometimes, like in my program, we've got like a whole specific page because it covers everything. But to start off for you, maybe you might just want to have a paragraph or a sentence, which is just going to be that new standard. But as you keep looking at that standard, your next step is to look for things which you can confirm to be true. That's the new confirmation bias we're looking for, not the one that confirms all the bad stuff which is showing up in your life. You're looking for new confirmations. So the first one is like an affirmation identity, but now we're coupling it up with new confirmations. And after a while, that's going to start to become a belief system. And then after that, you're going to get into knowingness. And that is where you have a deep conviction and alignment with yourself and the world around you. So, breaking it back down, you write out that statement of who you're going to be, who you're willing to give up to be this person. You're willing to give up things which are in conflict with this new standard and identity statement. And as you look at that, you then go on a mission to look for confirmations of that statement. Now, it may be hard for yourself at first. So one little side tip is, let's say, for example, you believed money is the root of all evil. And because that is what your identity is, it's hard to find that initially within yourself. So I would then ask you, look for people who have an abundance of wealth, who are doing good in the world. There are going to be examples, and that's going to be a good confirmation of your identity statement. It may not be yours yet, but you at least have evidence that someone else out there is doing it, contrary to that old confirmation bias you had that money is the root of all evil. Same thing with relationships. Right now, you may have bad relationship or no relationship. Well, maybe look for good relationships, which will give you a form of confirmation. If you go on a mission for looking at only good, positive relationships, which uplift, which are, even if there are issues, they kind of work it out. You look for that evidence. It's going to give you a pathway at an unconscious level to look for more of the same. If you're talking about money and abundance in terms of what you can do and deliver in this world, like if you want to set up your own business, or you want to be a practitioner of change, or you want to do this passion and purpose, like the previous episode around the keys to your purpose. That was the episode I had to remember for a second. But if you do that, in combination with that episode, interestingly enough, you'll start to get this new confirmation that it is possible, whether it be within yourself or beyond yourself. So look for external examples if you can't find it within you. But don't let yourself off the hook about your own belief system. So for example, if you felt not good enough, look at things where you have been good enough. And you might go, well, Joseph, there's no situation, no past memory, nothing throughout my day which has been good enough. Well, I think you've been pretty good at listening or watching this so far, right? You're still here. Someone who didn't have that would have just turned it off straight away because they go, I'm not good enough at all to be able to listen to something positive. So there are these little wins you can do, even getting dressed in the morning. If you can do that, you were good enough to get dressed, right? There's lots of these little micro things. So you start to kind of get that as your evidence. In time, that will begin to go into this snowball, which gets bigger and bolder and just kind of builds up this energy. Sometimes that's all it, I mean, I say all it takes time, but momentum grows with that consistent seeking of new confirmations of standards that are going to elevate your success. It's that compound interest over and over again, and you're feeding to your unconscious mind that this is the way. I'm ready to give up my old identity statement, my own thoughts, and I'm going to have this new conviction. Because in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know at an unconscious level. And then you're starting to get in this process of knowing. Like, it's going to be tricky, as I said. So you're not that competent at it. But after a while, you are going to get consciously competent. And once you become consciously competent, your unconscious mind will start to get unconsciously competent. That's the 4 steps of learning. In the beginning, we don't know what we don't know unconsciously. Then we become consciously aware that we're incompetent at something. And then we make a decision to start to practice. And that's when we start to get consciously competent. And then after a while being consciously competent, we hand it over to the unconscious mind and it does it for us. If you want an example, like if you can drive or ride a bike, you were terrible in the beginning, I'm sure. And it was very overwhelming consciously. Even before that, you didn't know what you didn't know. But then when you got in the car, you were very consciously incompetent. Then you were driving for a little bit, having your lessons. You're going, oh, I kind of get this, but it's still a bit overwhelming. Then when you've been driving for quite a while, guess what happens? Before you know where you are, you got to your destination. You didn't even remember about the red lights. You still stopped, but you were listening to the podcast or you were being all these kind of things, because your unconscious mind was doing it. So start out the new standard. Who are you going to be and live up to? It's so important to know your worth, especially in these times when there's so much noise trying to tell you otherwise, or trying to distract you, trying to get you to buy more things, trying to get you to argue with more people. It is time to set this new standard of knowing who you are in this world, because tough times might be coming. It can happen. I prefer to be prepared now, so you have that deep, undeniable conviction and self-certainty in your own ability to navigate any storms should they arise, and actually grow because of them. That is what I want for you. So I hope you got value of just understanding the mind and the old standards and how we can set up a new standard by having a new identity and then looking for a new set of confirmations which will feed to your unconscious identity after a period of time. But do the deep work as well. That's so important. That's how we really let go of a lot of our issues in the most powerful, profound way. And of course, if you ever need my personal help in undoing those big unconscious blocks, if you're struggling with it, doing it by yourself, or even working with people and it's just not shifted, go to josephclough.info/talk. You'll go ahead and fill out an application form. And then on the call with the person, they'll get clear of you what you want to let go of, where you want to be, what's getting in the way. And then we'll come up with a plan if we can solve it. If we can, we may invite you into the program. That is an investment. You've got to be ready to do the work, put the time in it. It takes only a couple hours a week though, but you can let go of all your issues all within 8 weeks in a customized way at josephclough.info/talk. But either way, do that work. It will work if you have enough time, passion, and consistency to make your life one that is powerful. And when you are powerful, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to stop you. You're going to do what has to be done. So with that, I look forward to speaking to you in a future episode. Many thanks and goodbye. There we go. We did it. Episode 931. We did it. We did it. Good work. Good work. How great were you today? You were so all great. Where am I looking? I'm trying to find my windows. Oh, here we go. Because you were all so great, you get fireworks. That's what you get. Now I'll bring my chat back to the monitor. There we go. So I can look at you when I'm reading. It's been such a good little investment, this prompter. Mary is here. Awesome. You listen to the replay. I will be doing the... I told you afterwards. I get consciously mixed up, which I don't really do when I'm doing the talk. As another example of unconscious doingness. Yes, I'll set the timestamps after this so it'll be easier to zoom along if you want to. Thank you, Caroline. Very, very kind of you. So pleased you found it great, and Med as well. You are most welcome. And Michelle, thank you so much. And the superstar Lois, so kind of you. You are great. The great and powerful Lois. So remember, on Saturday there is a premiere. The usual time I do my live streams, which will, at the end of this stream, you will get hopefully moved there, so you can just get notified for those who want to. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Very, very kind for the 5 stars there. I'll take it, unless it was 5 stars out of 10. I'll be like, that was only 50% good. Well, it really goes to show of doing the work. I promise you. If you saw me speak in camera, I was absolutely terrible. I was not good. If you go, maybe not my earliest ones, but some of my early ones. So you go to youtube.com/JosephClough, go to video, and then I think you can sort by oldest. Look at some of those. I'm totally different. Totally different. And compared to this boy, this one, no, where?
Well, we work with the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind does run the smoking behaviour. So
that's
we really
me.
harness the
It's like a
unconscious mind to
19-year-old.
let go of the whole smoking behaviour without actually gaining weight or any withdrawal symptoms.
So it is just how it sounds. You'll put someone in a trance.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Yes. But if you look at those old ones, and I like them there as evidence. I like it as evidence. So you will get to that place if you do the work. It takes time. Definitely takes time. Like, I haven't said this before. When I ran my first or second training, I did like a timer therapy weekend for a small group. If I did my first running my first practitioner training, I was so not good. It was such a hard thing to do. And then there was this breakthrough moment because there's this one challenging guy who was challenging me every time. And I felt like because of the challenge, I was losing my students. And he had this huge issue. And there was this defining moment. My dad was at the back of the room. He was saying, do not pick this person. Do not pick this person because they will sabotage the experience. and just like go what? There's something inside him is like, no, this is where something happens. So I said, you get up here right now and we'll resolve this. And I kind of faced that fear of it all going wrong and losing the whole class. Got them up there, and the video is actually on there, on YouTube. And he had the most immense integration, one of the biggest ones I've seen. And it caused me just to own that space in the end, like just waking up to that, because it was either I'm not doing this again, or I've got to face what I'm doing here and just do the work. So I did the thing. He had to have a break after because it was so like crazy integration, like physical integration, which I love. I love the real big physical ones, like shaking, moving, and all these kind of things. And that moment, bang, everything turned around. Everyone got what I said perfectly. It just took a defining moment of stepping out of that fear into that power. And it was immense. Yes, you've got this. If it can be done by one, it can be done by more. I was so young. Yes. It is true. It is true. You would know if I didn't believe it, let's put it that way, because 93% of all communication is unconscious. And Med will know that. The words you say don't really mean much. Your physiology and your tone will dictate. If I went, so I really, it's really hard not to do it congruently, but I really believe that you're good enough. Like I really believe you're good enough. Like it doesn't compute. But if I know that you're good enough and I say it because I know it within me, you will go ahead and feel like the congruency of that. Because it's going back to the same thing we talked about, the external thoughts will influence us, and the person with the most conviction and certainty in any conversation is going to win the conversation, even if that other person was technically right. Because if they were uncertain in that confirmation bias, the other person's confirmation bias will override it. Because that's how the brain is. Yeah. And plus doing hypnosis has changed my voice. Some people say, well, because I've gone to America for a while. My voice changed before America. I can't find the session you're talking about. Okay, well, let's do this. Let me show you. I will not only show you, I will lead you there. I'll take you there. And how I'll do that is by doing that. It's in the chat. What is integration? So think about it as, on the one hand, consciously, I really want to know I'm good enough, but unconsciously, I don't believe it. Well, if you can imagine, get the unconscious mind to know it, they can come together as one wholeness. We're congruent, aligned. So everyone who's got an issue is in conflict in some way. There's a disorder in the system. They're conflicted. That's why people have problems. So anyone who has a problem, psychologically, emotionally, they're conflicted in some way. So the whole idea of all therapeutic transformation is to get wholeness. Wholeness and choice, ultimately. And there's not much choice in not being in control of your unconscious, and there's not much wholeness if you're in conflict with your unconscious mind. So all procedure transformation of doing a huge integration, which I love, is when you get every part of you, consciously, unconsciously, as whole again. You've heard me kind of say we go into this world blank, we go through stuff, and I think it's our mission is to integrate the stuff through getting lessons and learnings so we get back to oneness again, but with wisdom. So in the beginning we were just nothing, we're everything, but you know what I mean, we didn't have the wisdom. We go through stuff, we integrate, learn and grow. That means we go back to oneness, but with wisdom, because we've integrated. Yeah. Yeah, form of parts integration to it. Like I do something really different. I think it's actually magic. Something weird. Thank you, Shell. You have a great and wonderful afternoon and evening, because it'll be your morning in Australia. Thank you, Mina. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I said this was gonna be a shorter stream, and it's 9:55? It's definitely not 9:55, it's 3:55. So if you got any more questions around that stuff or anything, remember this Friday we'll do a Q&A. You can I'll get my Sarah to do a post on like Instagram and Facebook, and then if you just reply to that, she'll gather all that stuff. She'll kind of forward it to me for Friday. Of course, if you just want to write down your questions and then just put them in a chat when you're here on Friday, that's fine. I actually don't like looking at the questions ahead of time. I like to do it more spontaneously because it makes me think. So bring those last minute questions if you want. And remember, as I end this stream, let's test to see if this works. If you're on YouTube anyway, I'm going to end the stream. It's going to take you hopefully to a new video. It's going to be the premiere, and I want you just to hit the subscribe or hit the thumbs up and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and do that. Yes, and I'll do a hypnosis session for Wednesday as well. So Wednesday there'll be a hypnosis session. There's probably a track video out tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday this week. So I'm just going to end the stream. Usually I do that little out thing, but I'm just going to end it abruptly. Actually, we'll do it with fireworks. So stay here. Don't move. Don't move. Wait. 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 Right. Let's go. So we'll end on the fireworks. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's loads of them. Wow.